Hey, I'm Alice. Welcome to Facts That Surprise Even the Smartest Among Us. Today we're diving into something that seems so ordinary, you probably never thought twice about it: the number of legs on a table. Why do some tables have 3 legs and others 4? Is it just a design choice? Or is there something deeper going on here?
I am Smarty, and you're absolutely right, Alice. It's one of those things that feels obvious until you really think about it. The choice between 3 legs or 4 might seem like a minor design detail, but it touches on stability, geometry, physics, aesthetics, and even the psychology of how we interact with furniture.
So let's start with the basics. Is one more stable than the other?
Great question. On uneven surfaces, 3-legged tables are actually more stable than 4-legged ones. It's all about geometry. 3 points define a plane, which means that a 3-legged table will always rest evenly, no matter how bumpy the ground is. 4-legged tables, on the other hand, often wobble unless all 4 legs are perfectly level with the floor.
Wait, really? That seems totally backward. I always thought 4 legs meant more stable.
That's the common assumption. More legs equals more support, right? But the truth is, unless the floor is perfectly flat, and let's be honest, most floors aren't, one of those 4 legs usually ends up slightly shorter or longer in practice. That's where the dreaded table wobble comes from.
So if 3 legs are more stable on uneven ground, why do we see so many 4-legged tables?
Good observation. It has to do with the fact that while 3-legged tables are great on bumpy surfaces, 4-legged tables offer better support for larger surfaces. They distribute weight more evenly and are less prone to tipping over if someone leans too hard on one edge.
Okay, so it's a trade-off between stability and support?
Exactly. Think of a 3-legged stool. It won't wobble, but if you lean too far, it might tip. A 4-legged stool might wobble a little, but it resists tipping better if all legs stay in contact. Designers have to choose what matters more in a specific context.
Makes sense. What about 5-legged tables? Or even more?
They exist, especially in industrial or specialty contexts. More legs can mean more strength, especially for long tables, but it also means more weight, cost, and complexity. There's also a point of diminishing returns where additional legs don't add much functional value but clutter the design.
So it's not just about function. It's also about how the table looks?
Absolutely. Aesthetics are a huge part of furniture design. A 3-legged table often looks sleek, modern, and minimal. It's asymmetrical in a way that draws attention. A 4-legged table, on the other hand, feels familiar and balanced. That symmetry gives people a sense of comfort and reliability.
Do you think people subconsciously prefer one over the other?
Totally. The symmetry of 4 legs tends to feel right to most people. It's what we're used to. But in certain spaces, especially trendy cafes or modern apartments, 3-legged tables make a bold statement. They say, "I'm different, I'm efficient, I know geometry."
Wow, so tables have personalities now?
In a way, yes. Design is storytelling. A table with 3 legs tells a different story than one with 4. And that story plays into how we perceive the space around us.
Are there any famous examples where the number of legs was a deliberate choice?
Definitely. For instance, the classic tripod table by Eero Saarinen from the mid-20th century is iconic for its 3-legged form. It was a reaction against the visual clutter of traditional furniture and emphasized simplicity and function. On the other end, traditional banquet tables almost always use 4 or more legs to convey formality and sturdiness.
So furniture design can reflect the era or mood?
Yes, design trends often mirror cultural values. In times of economic stress, minimalism rises 3 legs instead of 4. In times of abundance, lavish designs with ornate 4 or more legs become popular.
Okay, let's go nerdy. What does physics say?
Let's do it. From a mechanical standpoint, a 3-legged table is always stable on any surface because 3 points determine a plane. 4-legged tables introduce the risk of imbalance unless perfectly leveled. However, when it comes to distributing weight, 4 legs offer more support. That's why desks, dining tables, and workbenches typically have 4 legs or even more.
So designers balance the geometry and physics with how people use the table?
Exactly. For example, a bar table might use 3 legs because it's likely placed on a rougher floor and used by fewer people. But a conference table? 4 legs minimum, and often additional support in the center.
And what about portability?
3-legged tables are often lighter and easier to move around. Think about folding camping tables or portable workstations. Reducing a leg saves weight, and if stability isn't a huge issue on a flat surface, it's a great trade-off.
Okay, I need to ask this. Are three-legged tables more likely to tip over?
Only under certain conditions. They're less likely to wobble, but more likely to tip if the weight isn't centered. If someone sits on the edge or places a heavy object too far out, it can become unstable. Four-legged tables have a wider base and resist tipping better.
So which is better?
That's the fun part. There's no universal better. It depends on where and how it's used. Outdoors on uneven ground? Three legs win. Indoors on flat surfaces with lots of weight? Go for four.
It's like choosing between a mountain goat and a draft horse. One's nimble on rough terrain, the other's sturdy and strong.
Perfect analogy. The mountain goat balances beautifully on rocks. That's your three-legged table. The draft horse carries the load and keeps marching. That's your four-legged giant.
Smarty, you've officially made me look at furniture differently.
Mission accomplished. That's what I'm here for.
Thanks, Smarty. I think we all have a better understanding of how table legs aren't just an afterthought. They're a design decision with real consequences.
You're welcome. It's always fun to explore everyday things and realize how much thought goes into them.
So next time you sit down at a table, take a peek underneath. Is it 3 legs or 4? Now you know why it matters. Thanks for listening, and stay curious. We've got plenty more facts to surprise even the smartest among us. Catch you next time.